Hello and welcome to the Courthouse. This is a program that gives you the opportunity to learn more about the law and gives you general legal perspectives on real-life issues. So if you have legal questions that you need answers to, this is the program to watch.
Olomu Plus app is bigger and better. Watch all our shows with just a click.
Let him have the right to decide what happens with your body.
Watch inspiring, informative, and entertaining programs. You can comment, like, and share. Watch our live TV and web TV on your mobile devices. Watch the big stories in real time or when you have the time. Experience Olomu Plus app right now. Download Olomu Plus app on Android, iOS, and BlackBerry. Go to Google Play Store, Apple App Store, or Windows Phone Store. Welcome to the bigger picture. Olomu Plus, beyond television.
Well, if you're just joining us, this is the Courthouse, and I am your anchor, Itohan Olomu-Agbodo. This week on the show, we'll be talking about police brutality. All over the world, we hear of cases of police brutality and harassment of citizens, sometimes leading to death. In the United States of America, for instance, we heard of Eric Garner and even Michael Brown losing their lives due to police brutality. I have with me in the studio today a seasoned legal practitioner that will do justice to this topic, and he is Barrister Prince Uzeme. Barrister Prince Uzeme, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So, in your opinion, what is police brutality?
Well, police brutality is the police acting in a manner that is contrary to their mandate, that is contrary to what they are set up to do. The police is set up to protect the citizens. That's their primary responsibility. To serve and protect. That's their primary responsibility.
To serve and protect?
Yes. Okay. And any instance in which the police acts outside this mandate of serving and protecting, can tantamount to police brutality.
Wow. So in your opinion, really, how common is police brutality, police harassment, police misconduct?
Well, worldwide, we have a lot of cases of police brutality, ranging from the United States, the United Kingdom, even down to Nigeria. And personally, I would say, on a 100% scale, I would say that police brutality happens at least 10% of the time.
10% of the time?
Yes, at least.
Wow. Wow. So now, what is the position of the law about this issue, this police brutality? How do you think it can be prosecuted?
Well, the law is actually very straightforward on this. Like I said initially, the mandate of the police is to serve and protect. And serving and protecting goes to maintaining and preserving the dignity of the citizens, which we refer to as dignity of the human person. And in Nigeria, like we said initially, it happens all over the world, but in Nigeria, we have to look at our law to see what does our law actually say about the preservation of the dignity of the human person. We start from the Constitution. If you look at Chapter 4 of the Constitution, specifically Section 34 of the Constitution, it talks about every citizen of Nigeria, every person having the right to the preservation, to the protection of his dignity. So any act, either of the police or of any other citizen that seeks to strip the citizen of this right, the right to personal dignity, right to life, right to personal liberty, right to family, and all the other rights are contained in Constitution, especially sections 33 down to 36 and 37. Any act that seeks to strip those rights would be seen as acts of brutality. And if these acts are coming from the police, which is mandated to serve and protect, then these are acts of police brutality. And the law offers a remedy against acts of police brutality. The police, we agree, yes, they are part of the executive arm of government, and they are also aware that everybody and every organ of government has a scope within which its powers should not extend beyond. And if the police or a policeman on his own unilaterally tries to extend the scope of his powers, then recourse will be hard to the law. Recourse can be hard to the law in several instances. The most common is enforcement of fundamental human rights.
All right.
Yes. Like I said, Chapter 4 of the Constitution guarantees the fundamental human rights of every citizen. And the law also grants that citizen the right to enforce the protection and the preservation of those rights. And this also goes to the area of police brutality. So where citizens have suffered police brutality in any form, they have a remedy, they have a recourse in the law. And that is, they should seek immediately, without wasting time, to enforce their fundamental human rights.
All right. So now you're talking about the recourse to the law now is more on enforcement of fundamental rights. So now we have some clips. I just want to show you some clips of how brutal these men of the police force could be sometimes. You see them beating this lady and dragging her down and just rolling on the floor. You see sometimes people are stopped on the road and they're just being harassed generally. So let's just take a look at this clip. I will be back. Wow, how sad. Imagine people that are supposed to serve and protect, like you said, doing that to a citizen. And sometimes they do that in the guise of trying to arrest the person. But really, is this how an arrest should be effected? Is this how an arrest should be made?
Well, like you said, it is actually very sad to either hear or watch instances of the police acting in a manner that is not part of their constitutional mandate. And in these cases, it is something that it is, I could say it's unacceptable. Even when the police have to arrest a citizen, there is a procedure that the law has laid down for an arrest. You don't just go and arrest somebody. Before arresting a citizen, the policeman, first of all, needs to identify himself as a policeman. Do you understand? He needs to identify himself. I am Officer so-and-so.
To the citizen?
Yeah, to the citizen.
Okay.
The citizen has the right to know the identity of the person that is trying to carry out an arrest on him. So the policeman needs to identify himself, and also the policeman needs to inform the citizen of the suspected crime or of the crime that the citizen, is being suspected of. For example, the policeman is supposed to say, oh, okay, I am Sergeant so-and-so from so-and-so police station. Reports reaching us indicate that we suspect you of a crimes of so-and-so, and we would like you to come with us to the police station, or we are placing you under arrest. That is a civil way to conduct an arrest, but not a case where the person is being dragged on the streets or manhandled in any way. Sometimes
they are beaten and even stripped naked, and it's really, really pathetic.
That is truly, truly unacceptable, and it's something that every citizen should cry up against. Like I explained, the police is not free. It's not supposed to do that. And even in cases, look, the law allows the police in extreme circumstances where either the suspect is being violent or he's trying to escape. The policeman is given the right to restrain that person.
Restrain how?
In a reasonable manner. It depends on the level of violence. For example, a suspect that comes out brandishing a gun or shooting at the police, the police is allowed to use an equivalent measure of force.
Equivalent measure of force.
So the police, for example, you are not allowed to use a gun on a suspect that is coming at you with his fists, with his hands.
Okay. Just like the case of Michael Brown and Eric Garner.
Yes, yes. So it is not enough for the police to say, oh, he tried to slap me or he tried to punch me. That's why I shot him. The question is the response with which you met, as in the response that you meted out on the alleged provocation of the citizen, are they equivalent in law? A gun is not equivalent to a punch. If someone is trying to punch the police should restrain that person either by using their beating or by physically restraining that person. And in extreme cases, like I said, the person may be placed in handcuffs where the person is not cooperative, where he is violent, or where he is trying to escape.
Okay. Really, really, it's actually interesting what you're saying now, because a lot of times we hear police stopping, most of the time drivers, for instance, in the city of Lagos, you just say, okay, come down from this place, and they take over the car, and you're wondering, is this, you don't have the time, the opportunity to ask, who are you? Because they'll be the one shouting, are you okay? You're asking me, a police officer, who am I, and all that. Yeah. And I don't think in such instances there may be provocation or reasonable suspicion of harm or something. So what do you think?
No, that is simply cases of police bullying.
Bullying?
Yes.
Yeah.
This shouldn't happen. A policeman does not have a right to, just for no offense whatsoever, or for a little infraction, like the person didn't pay to use bribe or whatever that policeman wanted him to pay, therefore he commandeered and took over his vehicle. No, these things should not happen. These are acts of police impunity. These are acts of police brutality, acts of police bullying, and they shouldn't happen. A policeman should be civil.
Should be civil.
Yes,
I like that.
A policeman should be civil at all times. It is not ordinarily, it's not even every time that the police should be seen carrying guns. I know of countries, like when we went to Ghana for Night of Bliss, we saw clearly that the policemen in Ghana, they carry beatings.
Not guns.
And not guns. Because you are not supposed to put the citizen that you are mandated to serve and protect in a state of fear for his own safety. You are not supposed to be brandishing your rifles and guns in his face. You are not supposed to jump into his vehicle without provocation and take over his vehicle. All those acts that we hear about, they are not supposed to happen. At a checkpoint, if a policeman stops a car at the checkpoint or stops a citizen at the checkpoint, the exchange should be civil.
Should be civil.
Yes, let the policeman ask his questions in a civil manner, and he will get a civil response. And even when a citizen goes as far as insulting a policeman, it behoves on that policeman not to respond in like manner, except the citizen gets violent. Then at that point, like I said before, the policeman now has a duty to restrain that person in a reasonable manner within the confines of the law.
Okay. Thank you very much, Barrister Ozeme. We have a little write-up on this issue, a little report on police brutality, and I would like us to just take a listen to that, and we'll come back to this discussion. Police misconduct has been defined as the inappropriate or illegal actions taken by police officers in connection with their official duties. Police misconduct can lead to a miscarriage of justice and sometimes involves discrimination or obstruction of justice. Types of misconduct include false confession, false arrest, false evidence, false imprisonment, intimidation, police brutality, police corruption, racial profiling, surveillance abuse, witness tampering, sexual misconduct, and off-duty misconduct, among others. Police brutality has been separately defined as a deliberate use of excessive force, usually physical, carried out during law enforcement activities. This type of behavior also includes verbal attacks and psychological intimidation by a police officer. Widespread police brutality exists in many countries all over the world, including those that prosecute it. For instance, statistics show that as of February 15, 2015, there were at least 136 individuals killed by police in the United States. This frighteningly high number averages out to 3 killed per day, or someone killed every 8 hours. The total number of citizens killed by law enforcement officers in Canada in the year 2014 was 14, that is 78 times less people than the US. In the United Kingdom, 1 person was killed by police in 2014. The shooting of Michael Brown and Eric Garner are clear examples of police brutality, which sparked protests all over the United States of America in the year 2014. In Nigeria, over the years, men of the Nigerian police force have created bad records as violators of human rights, with numerous cases of human rights violation by police members littering various courts of the Federation. The constitutional validity of police permits under the Public Order Act have been severally challenged, and courts have held that violent disruption of rallies by the police is an infringement on the rights of Nigerian citizens, especially the right to freedom of association, peaceful assembly and expression as contained in Section 40 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Since the disruption of public meetings and rallies is an infringement of the fundamental rights of Nigerians, it is pertinent to draw the attention of the authorities to the state of the law on public meetings and peaceful protests. Well, this is still the courthouse, and this week we're still talking about police brutality, and I still have with me in the studio Barrister Prince Uzeme, who have been throwing light to this discussion. Barrister Prince Uzeme, you just heard that report, and they talked about, even in Nigeria, peaceful assemblies sometimes are disrupted by the police in the name of having the power to do so under the Public Order Act. What can you say about that? Public meetings, peaceful protests, and all that. Do you think they have the right to disrupt such meetings?
Like I stated before, they are rights that the Constitution has guaranteed. They are sanctified rights. Nothing happens to them. And one of these rights is the right to peaceful assembly and association that is contained in Section 40 of the Constitution. Now, the way the Constitution is structured, there is no other law in the land that can be contrary to the Constitution.
Okay.
Every law that is contrary to the Constitution, to the extent of that conflict, is automatically rendered null and void and nugatory.
Rendered null and void?
Yes.
So, for instance, sorry to butt in, this Police Order Act that the police were actually relying on, especially during the period of campaigns, you hear this rally was disrupted by the police, especially with shootings, not just with battens and all that, like you said. Now, this Police Order Act, you're now trying to say that it is subject to the Constitution. Is that the point you're
Yes,
making?
it is very subject to the Constitution. And
okay. Where
it goes against the Constitution, then it is null and void. If the courts have even ruled that the Public Order Act, as far as the extent to which it seeks to prevent citizens from peaceful assembly, from gathering together, from association, that it is unconstitutional and therefore null and void.
Okay.
And we cannot rely on a law that is contrary to the Constitution. The Constitution is what we call the ground norm.
The ground norm?
Yes, the ground norm of our legal structure. There is no law in Nigeria that can be contrary to the Constitution. So as far as the Public Order Act has provisions that are contrary to the sanctified provisions of the Constitution, it cannot stand. And the courts have ruled, as I have said, they cannot stand. And the cases where the police, they've relied on this law to disrupt rallies, to shoot at people, to maim. Sometimes you see some people that they are maimed all in the name of, oh, you are not supposed to assemble in the first place. This is illegal. And this should not be allowed to stand. The only thing that I would ask is that citizens themselves, they need to also stand up for their rights.
Okay.
There's an extent to which a law can go. But if a citizen fails to activate the provisions of that law, then that law would be a sleeping law. Where your rights have been trampled on in any way, either by the police or whatever, under the guise of police brutality or under the guise of you're not supposed to assemble of that, take it up.
Take it up.
Take it
so
up.
Now, in saying take it up, you said before that it's through fundamental rights enforcement. Can you tell us more on how we take these matters up?
Every citizen has a right to take up a matter in court, 1. 2, where your fundamental rights have been trampled upon, take it up. If you are not skilled in that process, which I know generally citizens do not have that skill, get a lawyer. Even if you are a citizen that you are indigent, or what I mean is you are too poor, or you do not have the money at the moment to afford a lawyer, there are free legal services that are provided by different bodies and by different lawyers. We call them pro bono services.
Pro bono services?
Yes.
What do they mean?
Services rendered free of charge, free of any charge.
Services rendered free of charge.
Yes.
You just heard that. Okay.
Yes. So a citizen is free to contact those centers or contact lawyers who would direct them to the appropriate quarters for them to get free services if for any reason they are indigent and they cannot pay. And the lawyers will take up these matters to the court and ensure that those are rights that have been trampled on, either by the police or by any other body or citizen, those rights will be restored.
Okay. Okay, now, so this citizen has taken his or her matter to the courts, and the court has probably granted what you call remedies, right? So these remedies, sometimes, this person is already dead. Do you feel that these remedies can serve as fair compensation to a lost life?
That's a difficult question. The truth of the matter is that no amount of money can replace a life that is lost. That's the truth. The only thing that the courts can do is to compensate the person. Compensation is, okay, we are not able to restore what has been lost, but have this to assuage or to ameliorate, to make easier the burden that you've been made to bear.
Okay.
So the courts will not be able to restore a lost life, but the person that took that life in an illegal manner, that person can be made to pay. That is one way of ameliorating. That person can be made to pay damages. I'll give you an example. A few years ago, a lady was assaulted brutally on the streets of Lagos by an arm of the military. I won't want to mention what arm. And she took the matter up. She took the matter up, went to court to enforce her fundamental human rights. And at the end of the day, the courts awarded 100 million naira to her as damages.
Okay.
That's one example. A few years ago also, a popular actor who acts in Yoruba films mostly, he was arrested by the NDLEA at the airport on suspicion of being a drug peddler or what have you. At the end of the day, he was kept beyond the statutorily allowed time for detention of a citizen. And he went to court, and the court also awarded damages, even though the matter now went on appeal and all of that. But what I'm trying to say is that every citizen has the right to enforce his fundamental rights. And I encourage every citizen to take this path and do what needs to be done. Maybe if more and more citizens get to do this, the police or any other body that would want to trample on citizens' rights, they will be cautioned, they will be forewarned that if we do this, the citizen will take us up on it.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Barrister Uzeme.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate your taking this time to come and shed light on this topic. And that's what this program is for. The program is to enlighten you on the law, all you need to know about the law. And as a Nigerian, you could also do yourself well by getting a copy of the Constitution. It will help you. The rights are stated there in Chapter 4 of the Constitution. And Barrister Uzeme, we have another segment. It's actually Legal Nuggets. It tells us more about what the topic is, just like it talks about police introducing themselves civilly, addressing citizens civilly. On the bar book, we actually tell you legal Latin maxims and their meanings. So for this week, my personal favorite is res ipsa loquitur. Res ipsa loquitur means the facts speak for itself, or just as the thing is. So Barrister Uzeme, what is your favorite Latin maxim for this week?
A whole lot of maxims, but there's one that I personally have taken to heart. That is nemo judex in cosa sua.
Nemo judex in cosa sua. What does it mean?
It means you cannot be a judge in your own cause.
Wow, you cannot be a judge in your own cause. Interesting. All right, you get more on the bar book. Stay tuned. Well, that's much we can take on the show for this week. And with me in the studio today, I had Barrister Prince Uzeme, a seasoned legal practitioner who shed light on the topic police brutality. I hope you learned a lot from the topic. You can also join the discussion on www.loveoplus.org or join us on UCOS or King's Chat super user. Look for Love Plus. You can also download our app, Love Plus app. I remain yours sincerely, Itohan Olomu-Agbodo. And I say to you, don't just get mad, go get a lawyer. Bye for now.